All right, what is up, everyone? Like I promised, live and in color, you got James. This is that face, that's right. And you got Eric. What's up, Eric?
Not too much, man. Just trying to live the dream and stay out of trouble in Detroit.
I hear you. Stay out of trouble. Well, this trouble this shirt might keep me in trouble. You was asking, what does it say? And it says, hang on, let's see if you can see it. I'm dropping my microphone. I'll take a knee with Cap before I ever stand with Trump.
Oh, wow.
That's right. That's right. This shirt is factual right here, baby.
Well, I'll agree with, hey, Cap, keep your head up, brother. I'm sure things are going to work out. You're probably doing more good doing the things that you do outside of the football field than you were on the football field, and you were great at playing football. So don't give up your dream, but more importantly, don't give up the difference that you're making.
All the haters would definitely disagree with you about that, even though he did play in the Super Bowl. People think that Trent Green might be a better quarterback in the NFL than Kaepernick, but that's another episode, not today. But we got a great show in store today. I'm really looking forward to it. So we're going to talk a little bit about Mount Rushmore. So Mount Rushmore, don't know how much you know about Mount Rushmore, but pop quiz, Eric, where's Mount Rushmore located?
North Dakota.
That would be false, sir. It's in South Dakota.
South Dakota.
It's in South Dakota. So as you know, we got 4 presidents on that wonderful monument. Have you seen the Mount Rushmore yet by chance?
Not in person, obviously.
Yep, neither. Yeah, that's true, because you would have seen it from North Dakota. You'd have been in the wrong place.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I've seen, obviously pictures of Mount Rushmore, and it's one of the most iconic monuments in the history of the world. I'm trying to think of all of the presidents, though. Can you think of all of the presidents on Mount Rushmore?
Well, can I think of it, or can I cheat? I'm cheating.
No. You're a child of the 70s, so no cheating. It should have been embedded in your brain.
Hey, no, it's embedded in my screen. I got it right here, ready to go.
You know what? We'll go ahead and cheat then. Obviously, Washington,
yep.
Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt.
Yep.
And who's the 4th one?
Thomas Jefferson.
Okay. How could I forget it? That man loved black women. How could I forget about TJ?
Maybe you thought he was in North Dakota.
Perhaps.
Well, today we're going to talk about Mount Rushmore or sports. We got a few different ideas on this. It's one of our topics today. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So Mount Rushmore in sports. Overall, Eric, who would you say, as far as just some of the biggest icons in the sports world, who would you say would be on Mount Rushmore?
Period. The 4 greatest athletes that I could either seen in person or read about. Muhammad Ali, obviously the greatest for so many different reasons. Not only the changes that he made in a boxing arena, but also taking a stand against injustice for African Americans, minorities, period, but specifically African Americans. So his contributions in and out of his sport, legendary. I think he's more famous for being an activist than he was for being a boxer. Bo Jackson is another person who I think was legendary. The 2-star athlete, the multi-star athlete, there wasn't anything that the man couldn't do. Only person that I ever seen who was a baseball all-star and an all-pro running back in the same year. So he played 2 sports full-time and excelled at them. And had he not hurt himself, he probably would have been a 2-time Hall of Famer, MLB Hall of Famer, and an NFL Hall of Famer. Number 3 on that list, I want to say Usain Bolt. The man, what he had to go through, his story for him to get to where he was, to where he is now. You know what? Remarkable. In a country that's not really known for nothing but, I guess, like being an athlete, but he's kind of taken his stance, in terms of justice, in his country. So, I like Usain Bolt on that level. And then Jim Thorpe. It was a toss-up between Jim Thorpe and Jesse Owens, but I lean towards Jim Thorpe just to kind of put a little bit of color into this, if you will. I don't want to appear to be one-sided. For those of you who don't know, Jim Thorpe was an Indian. He was an Olympian, and he also played football back in the time where football pretty much was just for people of non-color. So those four, in terms of contributions on and off of their respective professions, that's my Mount Rushmore.
Awesome list. All right, so let me share mine. Of course, MJ, Michael Jordan. How can he not be on Mount Rushmore? Definitely up there. Muhammad Ali, I agree with you. Muhammad Ali definitely is on my Mount Rushmore. The next two might surprise a couple people. The first one, Tom Brady. I know you're not going to disagree with me because you're that Tom Brady guy, but I think Tom Brady got to be up there. What he has done, he has been a huge contributor in all of his rings. He just was not a game manager. He actually led his team. He made several receivers into better athletes than what they probably would have been with other quarterbacks under center. So Tom Brady definitely gets the nod for me on my sports Mount Rushmore. And the last one is very interesting. I got to put Cal Ripken up there. To play 16 consecutive seasons without missing a game, 2,632 games and not missing a game. We got so many game management decisions. We're taking athletes out of the game so they can rest. Hangnails, they got to go on the DL now. It's insane. 16 straight years without missing a day of work. I think that's deserving to be on the Mount Rushmore Mount Rushmore monument for me.
Well, I can't disagree. Had a chance to watch Cal Ripken play. Saw many Tiger games. So Cal Ripken definitely was an Iron Man. Michael Jordan, what can you really say? The man revolutionized basketball. He did things that people still can't do today. The man was clutch. The man definitely, when it was game time, you knew the ball was going to go in Mike's hands. It was like, give Mike the ball and get out the damn way. What more can I say about Muhammad Ali that already hasn't been said? Like I said, the man sacrificed a couple of years of his boxing career in his prime to go to jail to stand up for what he would believed in. He didn't think that, hey, a country that doesn't serve me, I shouldn't have to be allowed to go in and go overseas and kill people just because you tell me that I have to go do it. The Vietnam War, it was a lot of stuff that was going on over there. He said that he didn't have any reasons to go over there and kill the Vietnam people because the Vietnam people were good to him. And quite frankly, I agree with the stance. You're sending me over there to go kill somebody, but you're not giving me a reason why. And who was your fourth guy?
Tom Brady.
Ripken,
you
Tom
forgot
Brady.
Brady.
Of course, Tom Brady. No, I didn't forget about Tom Brady. I didn't forget about Tom Brady. Tom Brady, ride or die, property of the University of Michigan. What we're about to find out, the big question everybody had on their mind, was it Brady or was it Belichick?
But are we going to find that out? Are we going to find that out really? We got a 40 – how old is Brady?
41, I think. So
we got a 41-year-old Tom Brady. Are we really going to find out, is it Brady or Belichick? Belichick, I get. We're going to see what kind of coach he is, without Brady. But I don't know if Brady is going to be able to truly prove that it was him, in the system. Once again, 41 years old. He had a down year last year, but he is reunited with Gronk, so we'll see.
Yeah, but a down year for Brady. What was for him? It was a down year, but statistically, Tom Brady actually wasn't that bad though. Hold on one second. I'm actually getting ready to pull up TB12 stats now.
All right. Well, while you're doing that, we got some breaking news. While we were logging into this, I see that I'm not going to attempt to say his last name. Tua has signed with the Miami Dolphins. So the number one overall pick has signed his rookie contract, $30 million. No wonder he can afford that Cadillac Escalade that he gave to his mama yesterday on Mother's Day.
Was Tua? Tua wasn't the first round. Was the first overall
pick?
He
wasn't. So I'm glad you were paying attention. All right. That was a tester, Eric. You passed. No, Joe Burrow was the number one pick, of course.
Oh, okay, because of the North Dakota crack. You're real
Exactly.
funny.
Exactly. I just want to see if you were paying attention.
All right, and just real quick, Tom Brady, and this is a down year for him. Tom Brady had a 60% completion rate, 4,057 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 8 picks. That's a down year for Brady. Yeah, it probably is. Versus the year before that, 4,355 yards. Completion rating was 65.8%, 29 touchdowns, and 11 picks.
So he improved on his interceptions.
Yeah, yes, he did, and
that.
he was only 4 short on the touchdowns.
Yeah,
but I don't consider that a down year. The offensive line, terrible. If me or you would have been out there as receivers, then it would have been an improvement. The running game,
I would have caught every pass. He'd have 50 touchdowns.
Absolutely, as long as they were 2 yards or fewer, right?
It don't matter. These hands are money, baby, money.
Like, understood, but you know what? It really wasn't even Brady's. Well, no, actually, that probably was his worst season in comparison to what he had. But you know what? 24 touchdowns and 8 interceptions with a pedestrian offensive line and not a lot of weapons. You guys make it seem like that Brady had like 15 touchdowns and 15 interceptions.
No, but I said it was a down year for him. His production wasn't where it has been. But we'll see what happens this year. I'm definitely looking forward to it. So let's move on to – go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Please continue.
Let's move on to the second set of our Mount Rushmore nominees. And this is for the state of Michigan. Just anyone that has played in the state of Michigan, Detroit, if you want to be specific, but just anyone that has been around sports in the state. So who is your Michigan Mount Rushmore members?
Now, if we're going to expand it to the state of Michigan, let's just look at the contributions that they made while they were there, because we could include Brady, but Brady wasn't a significant factor at the University of Michigan.
He wasn't any kind of factor while there.
Well, no, he wasn't. And we did get some insight with the past guest of ours, Chris Howard, who was the featured running back for the national championship team.
That's right.
So we did get some insight on where Brady's head was when it came to, whether or not he thought that he could cut it at Michigan. But now if we're going to go state of Michigan, Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson has to be on the Mount Rushmore because what he did for Michigan State basketball, the legacy still lives on today.
1979. Yep.
That's right. 1979, the classic battle with Larry Bird in the NCAA national championship game. So that put Michigan State Spartan basketball on the map.
Okay.
So Magic Johnson has to be there.
Okay.
Bo Schembechler, if we're talking about Michigan.
Ooh. Still in my thunder. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I'm sorry about that, buddy, but Bo Schembechler, legendary coach for the University of Michigan, the rivalries with Notre Dame, the rivalries with the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Don't say it. Don't say their name. You already said it. Keep going.
Those folks that begin with the O.
Yeah.
Bo Schembechler was instrumental. His legacy is still thriving through the University of Michigan. Jim Harbaugh was his quarterback. So he fall up under the Bo Schembechler tree. Isaiah Thomas. You know what? Mr. Detroit Piston, ride or die for life. Isaiah Thomas gave us something that we never had, and that was a championship with Detroit basketball. So think about how the Pistons were before Isaiah got here. Hell, Michael Jordan's documentary, the first probably 3 or 4 episodes are dedicated to Isaiah Thomas. That's just how much Isaiah Thomas got up under the skin of Michael Jordan, but that's just how much he elevated Piston basketball. Whether it was the rivalries with the Boston Celtics, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Chicago Bulls, like he said, the 80s belonged to the Philadelphia 76ers, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Boston Celtics, and the Detroit Pistons. The Bulls didn't win their first title until the 90s. The 80s, that little 5-year run from 88 to 90, 91, that was all Detroit. We should have honestly had at least 3 championships, if not 4, if it wasn't for those freak things that happened with Isaiah throwing the ball away and Bird, throw the ball. Okay.
Game 7 of 88 season.
Mm-hmm. Game
against
7.
Lakers.
Well, not Game 7. That was when he hurt his ankle. But I wanted to go back a little bit before that. The year before, Adrian Dantley, Vinnie Johnson collide heads. We didn't even get to the finals because of that. Boston wound up making a trip to the finals. We lost there in the conference finals. And then, of course, you're alluding to the fact that Isaiah Thomas had messed up his ankle, and still now it's still an NBA record. I believe Isaiah Thomas had, 25 points in the fourth quarter?
It wasn't even the whole quarter. He had, like, if memory serves it correct, he had some ridiculous stat. And as I'm sharing my Mount Rushmore picks, if you look this up, I want to say he had like 16 points in like 90 seconds. It was something ridiculous that he had, some phenomenal numbers.
Wow.
So
I think that might have been the same quarter, though. When he hurt himself, they just taped him up, and then he came back in, and he did that off of one leg.
Yep. He was an Iron Man. So you got Isaiah Thomas, Bo Schembechler. Who else on the Detroit Mount Rushmore or Michigan Mount Rushmore?
Isaiah
Magic
Thomas.
Johnson. So Isaiah, Magic, Bo Schembechler, and who else?
You know what? He's not an athlete, but man, if we have to just talk about contributors, we got to go with Mike Ilitch.
Okay.
Mike Ilitch owned the Detroit Red Wings, and Mike Ilitch owned the Detroit Tigers. Now, at first, I was going to say Gordie Howe, because Gordie Howe legacy, he played, his entire career basically with Detroit, and he is Mr. Hockey. But I'm going to backpedal, and I'm going to go to Mike Ilitch. Mike Ilitch was – usually you have sports owners, like people who own sports teams that aren't fans. Mike Ilitch was a sports fan that happened to own 2 sports franchises. Two. And goodness gracious, I don't know how many times I begged for the Ford family to sell the Detroit Lions to Mike Ilitch.
I wish they would have.
Because if they did, we would not be going through these droughts with the Super Bowls. I don't think Calvin Johnson would have retired. I don't think Barry Sanders would have retired. I think that we would have had top-notch coaches. When you look at the coaches that we've had with the Tigers and that we had with the Red Wings, they were top-notch coaches. We had top-notch talent. Yep. We had Steve Yzerman. We had Sergei Fedorov, Brendan Shanahan, Dominic Hasek, Zuckerberg, Nicholas Lindstrom,
Paul Coffey.
Exactly. The list goes on and on.
Yep.
On the Detroit Tiger side, we've had Miguel Cabrera. We've had, and I'm mixing the generations up, we've had Lou Whitaker, Alan Trammell, Kirk Gibson, Lance Parrish. We've had Prince Fielder, Cecil Fielder. Yep. We've had Maglio Ordonez. We had Jose Iglesias. Yes, we had Verlander. We had Scherzer. We had Porcello. I mean, that's like 3 Cy Youngs that we've had there. Yep. So we've had so many athletes because Mike Ilitch's passion to win was second to none. You put Mike Ilitch's passion up there with the Jerry Joneses of the world, with the Mark Cubans of the world, with the Dr. Jerry Busses of the world, all of the real hardcore sports fans that just happens to be owners. So for his contribution for bringing multiple championships to the Red Wings and multiple World Series appearances with the Tigers, that's my Mount Rushmore.
So, you know what? That's the difference right there. You just said it. You hit the nail right on the head. Mike Ilitch had a passion for winning. And I think the Ford family has a passion of making money. I think that's the big difference. When you have an organization that can go 0-16 and the fans still show up and sell out the stadium, and you get a new stadium, Ford Field, it's clear that they're making money. They're paid. You know, the Ford family is not hurting for money, and that's what it's about for them is making that almighty dollar. And Mike Ilitch, like, we want to raise banners. So I wish the Ilitch family was still involved. I wish they would just buy up all major franchises in Detroit and make them all champions again. Oh, God, did I just say make? Oh, never mind. All right, go ahead and look up that Isaiah Thomas stat while I'm running through my Mount Rushmore. So my 4 members of the Detroit or the state of Michigan Mount Rushmore, like I said, you stole my thunder. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with Bo Schembechler. Like you said, what he did at the University of Michigan, second to none. Those great battles with Woody Hayes, with those little boys down in Ohio, where it was legendary. Isaiah Thomas, I agree. Isaiah Thomas definitely has to be on that list. Someone you did not mention, and I'm kind of surprised, and that's Mr. Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders has to be on that list for me. And the last person, just because of the accomplishments that he has had, in his sport, Steve Yzerman. I know Gordie Howe was Mr. Hockey, but Steve Yzerman raised the cup in Detroit, was a leader, there on that franchise, and now he's I believe his title is general manager for the Detroit Red Wings. So it's great to see him back in town. But those are my members of my Detroit's Michigan Mount Rushmore.
All right. And I believe with Stevie Y back in the fold, again, he falls up under that Mike Ilitch tree. Yep. I believe that he's going to take that same knowledge and that same passion, and you definitely are going to see some great things that's going to happen from the Detroit Red Wings within the next year or two. I am almost done with your highlights, not your highlights, your stat here.
All right.
But in the meantime,
while you're looking at that, I am going to introduce the next Mount Rushmore. Now we're going to talk about the woulda, coulda, shoulda Mount Rushmore. So we're looking at athletes who season or career may have been cut short. We never really knew what they would turn out to be. So someone's just ridden by injuries and that sort of thing. So while you're looking at it, I'll just go into mine. My four members of the woulda, coulda, shoulda Mount Rushmore. First off, Grant Hill. A lot of people thought Grant Hill would be one of the greats, but because of his nagging injuries, we really don't know what he was going to turn out to be. You put this guy on your Mount Rushmore, and I think he's under the woulda, coulda, shoulda, Bo Jackson. I cannot imagine the types of numbers that he would have put up had he stayed healthy and not had that hip injury. Gale Sayers. Gale Sayers played a limited amount of seasons with the Chicago Bears. Another player that could have done numbers or done wonders in football had he not been injured. And I shared this with you during our production meeting, just during my research. I did not realize, I knew his career was cut short, but I did not realize that Billy Sims only ended up playing 5 years. And he rushed for over 1,000 yards each year. But he too had an injury that cut his career short. And who knows what he would have done for the Detroit Lions had he been able to stay healthy. I really wonder, would there have been a Barry Sanders in Detroit if Billy Sims would have stayed healthy? Not that his career would have gone into Barry Sanders' career, but who knows? So that is interesting as well. So those are my 4 of the woulda, coulda, shoulda Mount Rushmore.
All right. So if we are doing that in terms of, you know what? Yeah, let's just go ahead to it because it's so disappointing. I think we talked about Bernard King. Anybody who was watching basketball in the 70s, late 70s and early to mid 80s, Bernard King, I would consider him probably a better scorer than Michael Jordan. If you were to watch Bernard King, his footwork, there really wasn't any holes in his game on an offensive level. Bernard King used to be a piston killer. When you would think about top scorers, in the league, Bernard King would automatically come to mind. Bernard King, in my opinion, was so cold. Even when he came back from injury, he was still an all-star. He was still an all-star when he came back from injury. But if Bernard King, had he stayed healthy, I don't think we would be comparing Michael Jordan as being the apex. I think that the bar would have been set, well, can Michael Jordan surpass Bernard King? That's what I firmly think. I think he was that good. Another woulda, coulda, shoulda. Well, I don't know if we should put this cat up under the biggest bust, but I'm not even gonna do it. I'm gonna save him for the bust. Again, Bo Jackson. If it wasn't for the fact that his injuries, who knows what would have happened. At the pace that man was going, I guess it was inevitable because Bo Jackson actually got hurt on a freak non-contact injury. So I guess it was just inevitable that his body was going to break down. Another thing that I just thought of, woulda, coulda, shoulda. What would have happened if Mike Tyson hadn't lost to Buster Douglas.
But it wasn't because of injury, though.
Nah, it wasn't because, well, if you mental, because he had like a mental deficiency. Like he was mentally spent after that Buster Douglas fight. What would have happened had he not been broken, I guess you can say, mentally? I know this kind of is taking a topic off to a different subject, but what would have happened if Mike Tyson wouldn't have suffered that loss to Buster Douglas? How dominant would he have been? And we can just kind of just put an asterisk on there and just kind of put that in an honorable mention category.
Okay.
You've seen Mike Tyson, you've seen what he can do. Now, injuries, not only do they occur physically, but they also occur mentally too. So what would have happened if Mike Tyson would have still had his head on straight, not having dealt with that Robin Givens situation, not having found out that people were stealing money from him? You know, what would have happened there if he would have just kept his head straight and just strictly concentrated on boxing?
Okay.
And Grant Hill. We'll bring Grant Hill up, getting back to the original topic. I think that Grant Hill's injury after he left Detroit definitely affected him, because prior to him leaving Detroit, he may have missed a handful of games, maybe like 5 or 6. Got himself injured during the playoffs, and then right after that, he left. And of course, the rest is history. Grant Hill leaves. We get Chucky Atkins, Ben Wallace, and then we wind up winning the title. So, Grant, for that, I thank you for leaving, because
thank you very much.
We got 2 championships appearances. We should have had 2 NBA championships under the Larry Brown regime, but we're not even going to get into that, Tom Delaney. So
nope.
Cheating ass. But, excuse me, but we'll talk about that later. Grant Hill would be number 3, and you know what? Calvin Johnson would probably be the 4th guy. Calvin Johnson was in the league, 9 years, I believe?
Yep.
Yeah, he was in the league 9 years. He definitely has Hall of Fame numbers now. But what would have happened if Calvin Johnson would have stayed? Calvin Johnson left. We got Jim Caldwell as our coach, and we wound up going to the playoffs without Calvin Johnson. What would have happened if Calvin Johnson would have stayed there? Now you've got Calvin Johnson on one side, Golden Tate on the other. You know, you've got, pretty decent, backs. What would have happened? The Dallas Cowboy game was pretty close. Now, I don't think it would have been that close if we would have had an elite receiver. You double cover Calvin, and then we get to throw it to, Golden Tate, who I think was probably at the time better than better than half of the number 1 corners in the league, and definitely could outperform number 2 corners.
Yeah, if you keep Golden Tate in the slot, where he's more effective, it's a mismatch all day. He's gonna win that all day. But we're not gonna talk about Golden Tate. That's a sore spot for me. We traded him for basically a carton of milk, so it is what it is. But I want to share. I did some research and I found the stat. Isaiah scored 16 points in 94 seconds. So that was remarkable. It was actually against Bernard King and the New York Knicks, ironically enough. And as far as I want to touch on Tyson, you talked about Tyson. He lost. I really don't. My opinion, I don't think that really affected Tyson the way you're speaking of. And I say that only because that fight happened in '90. He didn't start having his breakdown, if you will, until around the Holyfield fight. The second Holyfield fight was in '97, and then he ended up retiring in 2005. So I really don't know if that Buster Douglas fight was the icing on top, if you will. It could have played a part of his mental anguish, yes, but I don't know if it had that big of a impact on him. But who knows?
I think it did. Because if you just take a look at the timeline of Mike Tyson, after that feeling of invincibility, it was gone. Then he had to resort to biting people's ears off. And the type of trouble that Mike Tyson was getting into before that was kind of like the trouble that a kid would get into. After that, then that's when he started getting into the grown folks' trouble. So I really do. A lot of people tell me that I'm wrong, but hey, I feel that if Mike Tyson would have just been able to concentrate strictly on boxing, I don't think that Mike Tyson might have retired as the heavyweight champion. We wouldn't been talking about Floyd Mayweather as the best boxer like ever. Mike Tyson's fights were quick. They were so quick, I didn't even want to order Mike Tyson fights. You mess around there, stretch pick up your beverage, look at the TV screen, the fight's over.
Yep. All right, last one. The biggest bust Mount Rushmore. Who you got?
Darko Milicic. Biggest bust in Detroit sports history.
So his face is going to be on all four of them? Just Darko. Might as well.
Probably.
I mean, you can make a case for it, that's for sure.
I mean, hell, I think he cost us a couple of championships. Had we selected Carmelo Anthony, had we selected Dwayne Wade, hell, if we even would have got Chris Bosh.
Finish your other three, and I got something to say on that one.
Okay. Ryan Leaf.
Okay.
Terrible. Terrible. And a lot of these, I'm sorry, are going to be football players. Jamarcus Russell.
Okay.
Terrible. Did I mention terrible?
You did. One time, I think.
Okay. And golly, you know what? I can only call him Johnny Manziel.
Okay.
Johnny Manziel. I know he's doing some decent things over in Canada, but Johnny Football. All I kept hearing is Johnny Football, Johnny Football, Johnny Football, Johnny Football. But those are my four biggest busts.
So I'm going to say something real quick on Johnny Football. So the ironic thing is he went to the CFL and left to go play in the Alliance of American Football, which folded midway during the season. And I understand the logic behind that. The idea was, that style of football was closer to the NFL game as far as the rules and all that good stuff. So playing that opposed to playing in Canada. Personally, I think he probably should have stayed in Canada, took the route of like a Warren Moon, blast from the past there for you, prove that he can play the game of football, forget the gimmick rules and all that good stuff, just can play the game. Rocket Ishmael, you remember that guy from University of Notre Dame? Ended up going to the CFL, played there for a few years, and then came over to the NFL. I think Johnny Manziel should have did that, not come over to the AAF, because now where's he now? Who knows? And we're probably never going to see him again playing football, at least nothing legitimate. But what you said about Darko, I want to come back to that. I have this conversation with people on a fairly regular basis, and I personally think that we would have not done any better had we not selected Darko and we selected someone else. And look at me crazy, why don't you? Here's my logic.
I am.
The starting five. All right, let's talk about this. For the championship that we won in 2004, we had Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, Tayshaun Prince, Richard Hamilton, and Chauncey Billups.
Okay.
All right. You draft, let's say, Carmelo with the number 2 pick overall. Carmelo has to go in the starting lineup. He has to. You're not going to start Tayshaun over Carmelo. Not what Carmelo did at Syracuse. You're not going to do it. Now, you take Tayshaun out the starting lineup and insert Carmelo. Who's going to get that block on Reggie Miller at the end of the game against the Pacers? It sure in the hell ain't going to be Carmelo. It's sure not. Tayshaun was instrumental in that run. And I must also add, Tayshaun played hella defense on Kobe in the finals as well. Tayshaun was a huge part of that championship, and Carmelo would not have given you the same results. I'll let you go there, and I'm going to continue.
First of all, Carmelo's coming into a championship team. So Carmelo is going to sit his ass down. He's going to play where Larry Brown tells him to play. That's number one. So Tayshaun stays in the starting lineup. Something's going to wind up happening. Maybe Tayshaun leaves a couple of years later. Maybe we trade Carmelo for someone else. I don't know. But give us the option of having some flexibility. Don't just not draft him. Now, granted, the Pistons were deep on the front line too. You mentioned Wallace ×2. Now, you also had Corliss Williamson. We also had Mehmet Okur, and we also had Eldon Campbell. Right? Okay, so here's my thing. Why not draft for the future? Either you're going to trade this guy, or at some point he's going to accept a role coming off the bench, being the 6th man and playing starters minutes. Or when you go small ball, Wallace ain't the greatest free throw shooter in the world, but Rasheed can play the 5. Tayshaun can play the 4. Melo could play the 3, or vice versa when you go small ball. So
He really wasn't playing small ball at that time, though.
It was gravitating towards that, though. So granted, yeah, the Pistons had like a few 7-footers. Rasheed was 6'11", Okoro was 7 foot, Eldon Campbell was 7 foot. So there was some opportunities there. You can kind of see the league drifting towards that direction. But I disagree. You know what? Dwayne Wade, anybody but Darko.
So I'm going to continue. So Dwayne Wade, same applies. Dwayne Wade picked at number 2. Now you're going to bench Rip and play D Wade. That messes with the chemistry that team had. Also, same applies for Chris Bosh. You get Chris Bosh, you have no reason to trade for Rasheed Wallace. And in my opinion, Rasheed Wallace was one of the main reasons we won that championship. He got into people's heads. The energy that he brought, you would have no need for that guy if you draft a Chris Bosh. And you said build for the future. I think that's what they were planning on doing with Memo. He just didn't blossom into the player that they wanted him to be. You know, they wanted to nurture him and they wanted to develop him. He was an 18-year-old kid when they drafted him. 18 years old at 7 foot, in my opinion, and I know we got hindsight right now, Darko was the best pick at that time. It was a gamble. He didn't turn out to anything. He did not cost us any games. He did not win us any games either. Darko, he broke his hand in the freaking championship in closing minutes when nothing was left to do. He broke his hand. He didn't hurt us at all. It woulda, coulda, shoulda, but I don't think Darko was at the time. It was not a horrible pick. It was a gamble. It just didn't pan out. But had he turned into a monster, can you imagine having an 18-year-old, exactly what we thought we was going to get with an Andre Drummond, who was putting up really good numbers, but his time ran short in Detroit, and he's no longer there either.
Well, you know, the classic big man, 7 foot, 275. Unfortunately for Andre Drummond, if we would have got him 15 years ago, then Andre would be more of a factor. He wouldn't have got traded for a bag of peanuts and a carton of milk. Because for what we got for Andre Drummond, don't even get me started there. But that's a conversation for another day. Worst trades in the history of sports. That's got to rank up there with one of them. But again, we'll agree to disagree.
Yep, we will.
Because at that time, you know what? You had a strong-minded coach like Larry Brown. Larry Brown would have nurtured him. You look, this is going to be your role. You know this is a championship team. You're not coming in thinking that you're going to start over Tayshaun Prince or start over these other 4 all-stars that we've got. So, no, I don't think the team chemistry would have been messed up. I think the expectations would have been set. You're going to come in up under a learning tree. You're going to have some key minutes off the bench, and then we'll see what happens after that.
But everyone was young, though, at that time. So it's like you couldn't really promise anyone the future when everyone was in their prime or going into their prime. Tayshaun was, 3-4 years at most in his career? So it's like you're going to draft someone, a Carmelo, to sit behind Tayshaun. And honestly, if we're being real, Carmelo, yes, would have been better than Tayshaun. But just that defensive side that Tayshaun brings is not something that Carmelo ever had, nor will he ever.
All right, well, let's go back to the old Pistons teams. When Sally and Rodman got drafted, both of them were first-round draft picks. At the time, we had, Lambeer, Mahorn, Dumars, Isaiah, and then Mark McGuire. Did we really need to draft Sally and Rodman? No. What happened with Sally and Rodman? Sally and Rodman came off the bench and played like their lives depended on it. So I'll have to disagree with that. You can draft somebody for the future. So Sally and Rodman got their opportunities and bam, championships. So this is where I think we're destined to win a championship anyway, but just having Sally and Rodman there, I mean, come on now. You can't tell me that if a person, would you rather be an alpha male on a team that's not so good, or would you rather be a contributor, have your game altered or tailored for a little bit and win yourself some championships, and then maybe somewhere down the road get traded or leave as a free agent and then be the man on that team? But you've got your championships early in your career.
Once again, we'll agree to disagree. Darko for life, baby.
You're about to get hurt.
So real quick, my 4 biggest busts, and we're going to move on to our next topic. honestly, 3 of the same 4 with you: Darko, Jamarcus Russell, Ryan Leaf. Real quick on Jamarcus Russell, I was very disappointed with him. Watch this guy during the pro day or something, launched the ball 70 yards with just a flick of the wrist. Bust. But my fourth biggest bust on that Mount Rushmore is Kwame Brown. That guy played with Jordan. He played with Kobe, and he was a nothing. So he's definitely on my Mount Rushmore biggest bust.
Let me tell you something about Kwame Brown. I think the reason why Kwame Brown did turn out to be a bust is because, one, Michael Jordan did. I don't know what he did to that man, but he destroyed that man mentally.
That's a Kwame Brown problem.
Okay, but then you go from Michael Jordan to Kobe Bryant, essentially the same person with the same mindset. I mean, it was just like an extension. You know how close Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant were?
Yeah.
Like, hey, Kobe, like, this guy's trash. Lean on him every time you get. Now, I love Kobe. Don't get me wrong. But just watching, have you watched any the Chicago Bulls documentary?
Yeah, I think we got through the first 4. We got 5 and 6 on tap.
All right, so you know Michael Jordan wasn't exactly known for his I guess to borrow a medical phrase, his bedside manner.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah, Michael, and you know what? And if you're a professional athlete, then you know that you're going to have to take some criticism, especially if you feel that you're underperforming. But I think they would call that now bullying with the way that Michael Jordan treated him. I mean, we're kids from the 70s, so people say stuff to us. It's like, okay, you know, you either deal with it or you go punch the guy in the face, and then you become friends later.
Yeah, I say grow a pair. Simple as that. Grow a pair.
But I think that Kwame was sabotaged from the moment that the Washington Wizards selected him with the first pick in the first round of the year he got drafted.
Yeah. So next topic is, and you're only gonna, I'll just say if I agree or disagree, and we'll go from there. We'll see how this works out. Start 1, bench 1, cut 1. So I'm gonna name 3 athletes, and you're gonna say who you would start, who you would bench, and who you would cut. Are you ready, sir?
I got my pen and my paper. All right, go.
All right. So first one, Isaiah Thomas, our Detroit Piston Isaiah Thomas, that is. Mm-hmm. Allen Iverson, Gilbert Arenas. Start 1, bench 1, cut 1.
Oh, easy. Gilbert Arenas would get cut.
Okay.
Even Gilbert Arenas in his prime, Agent Zero, he would get cut because there's no way that I'm going to let LeBron James come up to me and tap me on the shoulder talking about if I miss these 2 free throws, y'all going to lose. I would have smacked the daylights out of him. Allen Iverson would have to come off the bench. Isaiah Thomas, 2 championship rings, Olympic gold medalist, college national championships. You don't bench that type of guy. He should have been on Dream Team 1.
He should have. Practice? I agree with you 100%. Next one. This is the only time you're going to hear a name twice in this group. So Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson, or Steph Curry.
Damn. That's tough.
And while you're thinking on that one, shout out to my cousin Alvin. He posted this on Facebook, so I stole this from his Facebook page. But what you got, Eric? Who you starting? Who you benching? And who you cutting?
You know what? Damn. Honestly, Magic Johnson, greatest point guard ever. Magic's got to start, in my opinion.
Okay.
Isaiah would have to come off the bench, and I'm sorry, I know I'm going to get some flack for this, but Steph Curry, I'd have to cut Steph.
Wow. All right, well, we disagree big time on this one. So I'm starting Isaiah. Steph's coming off the bench, and I'm cutting Magic.
How are you cutting Magic?
I'm cutting Magic.
How are you cutting Magic Johnson?
I'm cutting Magic just because he talked, just like my cousin Alvin said, I couldn't agree. I was finding that love button, so I wanted to hit it on his post. All that crap that Magic would talk about the Pistons, bag that, man. Magic is gone. Let him go ride with someone else. I bet you I'm going to win championships with Isaiah and Steph over whatever team that Magic go off to be with. So Magic's off the team. That's it. I'm pulling a Mike Ilitch, and he's gone.
Wow, I'm really surprised. So you
Yeah.
think that? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he can go start for you. He can go start for your team, but it's
He's already
personal.
starting for. He's already starting for me.
That's
Like
cool.
I'll have Magic Johnson, and he'll be posting up Steph Curry's little ass too.
That's cool. But you know what? Then I'm gonna have Dennis Rodman come over and give him a nice little friendly welcome to the neighborhood elbow. All right, next one. This is one that you're gonna vote with your hate in your heart. I know. I'm calling it right here, people. Listen up. Start one, bench one, cut one. LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and Michael Jordan.
Yeah, you absolutely right. Personally, LeBron James, love the things that the man does for the community. You know, he's a good father, good husband, definitely takes care of everybody that's in his inner circle. He does a lot for the community. He is a wonderful example of somebody who takes a stand on issues. He puts his money and, more importantly, his time where his mouth is. So I love everything about LeBron James, except for the fact that he plays for the Los Angeles Lakers. That's my favorite team. Couldn't stand LeBron James when he was in the East. I cannot, in clear conscience, have LeBron James playing on my team.
So LeBron's gone.
Know, yeah, LeBron's gone.
Number
Love LeBron.
Number two, he's gone.
Number three, he's gone. He's out of there. Sorry, LeBron. Hey, love you to death. Love everything that you do for the community. Can't have you on my team. Now, you got two killers, Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. I'm starting Kobe, and Mike's coming off the bench.
Ooh. So we disagree a little bit. LeBron's definitely cut. No doubt about it. LeBron is cut, right? So he's gone. But I'm starting Jordan, and Kobe's coming off the bench. But you can't go wrong either way. You can't go wrong either way.
No, you can't, but you just did.
All right, next one. John Stockton, Gary Payton, Steve Nash.
I like the glove, two-way player. He's starting.
All right.
Steve Nash, two-time MVP. You know what? John Stockton and Steve Nash are like the same person.
They're the same person. So you only need one of them.
I only need one of them. There's no championships amongst the three of them. John Stockton, Steve, you know what? John Stockton, to be honest with you, is probably a slightly better version of Nash because Stockton did alter a lot of his game for his team. So Stockton could score when he wanted to, but he just chose not to. Mm-hmm. Steve Nash, two-time league MVP. I might regret this a little later, but I think I'm going to have to go Stockton coming off the bench. And then, as much as I love Steve Nash, Nash is out of there.
You know what? I agree 100%. So we can move on. You ready for a little attitude? We need a little muscle. We got all these pretty guys around, this flashy and all this other stuff. So let's bring a little muscle into this. Rasheed Wallace, Ron Artest, Dennis Rodman. Start one, bench one, cut one.
Got to start Rasheed, man. Got to start Rasheed. Now, the two craziest people on the face of the earth, Ron Artest and Dennis. Hey, you know what? When we play basketball, you know I modeled my game after all three of these guys. You do know that, right?
I would have to probably agree to that.
But Ron Artest was a very good scorer. I mean, he got credit for his defense, but Ron Artest could score. He was, in fact, a really good two-way player. He was like a out-of-control Kawhi Leonard. That's the best analogy that I can get it. Dennis Rodman, defensively, you could 1 through 5, he could guard all 5 positions.
He could score too now.
Yeah, off putbacks.
But he could score. He could score.
He could score off putbacks.
I've seen him shoot a few jump shots too. He had a little game that he didn't have to use on the offensive side of the ball.
Do you remember when they played the Lakers? The Pistons were on a fast break. Isaiah kicks the ball out to Dennis Rodman. We thinking Dennis Rodman's finna get ready to go fly in for a dunk. He stops and pulls up a jumper. Do you remember that?
And I believe, if memory serves correct, he missed and got his own rebound.
He missed and got his own rebound. He got fouled, and what happened after that?
If that, I don't remember that part, but he probably missed the free throws.
Yeah, he definitely missed the free throws for sure, for certain. But I might have to go, man. But Rodman's defense was just so. Hell, he got into the Hall of Fame on his defense. So I think I'm going to go with Sheed and Rodman, and I have to bench Artest.
Cut Artest, you mean?
Yeah, cut Artest.
I agree. That exact order. All right. Got a few more here for you. 2 more basketball. Scottie Pippen, Kevin Durant, or Kevin Garnett?
Kevin Durant, number 1. I have to say Pip was probably more versatile and better defensively. So Garnett would have to get cut. So it would be Durant, Pippen, then Garnett.
I agree. Let's go to the big man. Patrick Ewing, Hakeem Olajuwon, Tim Duncan.
Man, I thought this was going to be difficult. Patrick Ewing's not getting no play on my team, not with those 2 cats. It's got to be Olajuwon and Robertson.
You mean Duncan?
I mean, thank you. Olajuwon, then Duncan.
So you adding someone else to your team. All right, let's move over to football. Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, and Sweetness, Walter Payton.
Well, you know I can't stand them damn Cowboys to begin with. So, yeah, Emmitt Smith was pretty good, but I could have got the type of numbers Emmitt Smith got behind that offensive line they have with the Cowboys. So it's got to be Barry Sanders, then it's got to be Walter Payton.
So Walter Payton's coming off the bench. All right, I actually agree with that.
I'm shocked.
Quarterback, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, and Peyton Manning.
Tom Brady.
So he's gonna start. He's gonna come off the bench, and you're gonna cut him.
No, he's gonna start and come off the bench.
Oh, okay.
Now Brady, Montana, and then Peyton Manning's got to go.
That's a tough one for me, but I think I'll agree with that. How about Brett Favre, Dan Marino, and Drew Brees?
Well, you know I love Brett Favre, Drew Brees, and who was the other guy?
Dan Marino.
Damn, you see, Dan Marino doesn't have a Super Bowl ring. He did get to a Super Bowl, but that was in his rookie year and didn't make it again. So for that reason, I'm sorry, Dan. We have to go with Brett Favre because he has a ring, and I just think that he was an overall better quarterback. Yeah, Dan Marino's out of there.
So who's starting?
Favre starting.
Favre starting, okay. We got 2 more for you.
Mm-hmm.
Lamar Jackson, Michael Vick, and Randall Cunningham.
It's too early to be comparing Lamar Jackson to those guys. So for that reason, Lamar Jackson goes on the bench. I might have to say Michael Vick, then Randall Cunningham, then Lamar Jackson, just because the eye test is good for Lamar Jackson, but he hasn't been in the league long enough to compare him. He's been in the league, 2 years? This is coming up on his 3rd year. If he would have went to a Super Bowl, that might have been different, but it's too early.
All right, last one. Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, and Terrell Owens.
Terrell Owens is a great receiver, but he doesn't compare to Randy Moss or Jerry Rice. So T.O. is automatically gone. Randy Moss did things that, in my opinion, that Jerry Rice couldn't do. Now, Jerry Rice probably had slightly better hands, but I'd have to go Randy Moss, then Jerry Rice.
Okay, I agree. So last conversation for the day. Once again, I gave credit where credit was deserved. And my cousin Alvin, who posted the one, cut one, sit one, bench one, whatever. And here's another one. We're going to talk a little bit of Michael Jackson right now. So Michael Jackson, for those who have followed Michael Jackson, understands that you got 2 types of Michael Jacksons. You got Black Mike and you got White Mike. So the question is, which Mike is better, Black Mike or White Mike? So let's kind of go through. I don't know if you have it handy, Eric, but I'm going to go through some of Black Mike's big hits. You got Beat It. You got Rock With You, Billie Jean, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, Thriller, PYT, Wanna Be Starting Something, Baby Be Mine, The Girl Is Mine, I Want You Back, Lady in My Life, Human Nature, ABC, Blame It on the Boogie, I'll Be There. White Mike, you got Smooth Criminal. What a way to get started. You Are Not Alone. You Rock My World. Remember the Time. Dirty Diana. The Way You Make Me Feel. They Don't Care About Us. Scream. In the Closet. Bad. Leave Me Alone. Man in the Mirror. Jam. Speed Demon. Black or White. And one song that I think should be noted on here that's not listed, Butterflies. So that's Black Mike and that's White Mike. What say you, which Mike is better?
Clearly Black Mike. Clearly Black Mike. Because Black Mike not only has his solo stuff, but he also has the Jackson 5 stuff.
Okay.
I mean, beat it. Oh my goodness, did we even mention Thriller? Yep, Thriller. I mean, come on now, Thriller. I mean, Michael Jackson, for how many years did Michael Jackson make the list of the celebrity that has died that has made the most money in royalties? If you were to go look that up, Michael Jackson probably is still in the top 20 when it comes to, I mean, because the man's stuff is still selling. The man's music is timeless. And I'm not saying that White Mike didn't have some good hits, you know, Smooth Criminal, You're Not Alone, you know, Dirty Diana, you know, all of those are fantastic songs, and it just added on to its legacy. I mean, come on now, cute little Michael Jackson singing ABC.
Cute little Michael Jackson. All right.
Yeah, cute little Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was a cute little kid. He was. And then when, you know, PYT, you know, Baby Be Mine, The Girl Is Mine, you know, Lady in My Life, Human Nature. I mean, come on now. I mean, Rock With You. I mean, Mike had it all. He had the slow jams, you know, he had the up-tempo jams. Obviously, whether it's Black Mike or White Mike, the man was a one of the best dancers on the planet. He could have just made money just being a choreographer with some of the stuff that he pulled. I mean, how that, to me, it's not even a comparison. I mean, Black Mike, to me, wins hands down.
Okay. So while I am sharing my thoughts, I'm looking at the comments on Facebook. And just to let you know that Soleil says Carmelo off the bench. I was told that I'm on crack. So Adam, if you're still listening, I need to know what is it that I said to make me on crack, because I need to know this. But he also said that Stockton is a better defender and then Nash. So I definitely need to find out, why am I on crack? I've been accused of many things, but being a crackhead is not one of them. So Adam, if you're still listening, please clarify, sir.
They must know something that we don't.
Where's my pipe? So when I first looked at this list, I'm going to be honest with you. I first looked at this list and I said, you know what? White Mike. I like White Mike songs. So I think I'm going to go with that. And then I looked at the list a little deeper and I was like, nah, it's Black Mike. So I got to go with Black Mike too. But White Mike is pretty cool with me though. I do like Smooth Criminal. It's not on this. Oh, there it is. Man in the Mirror. Actually, believe it or not, that's actually one of my all-time favorites of Mike. If you listen to the lyrics of that song, you know, I'm starting with the Man in the Mirror. You know, I love that song. You know, and I think that's something that we really need to think about, because we're so quick to blame others for, you know, our shortcomings, for this, that, and the other. And Mike's like, I'm going to start with the Man in the Mirror. So I really love that song. And the one I added, Butterflies, love that song as well. But Black Mike definitely got it beat. No pun intended, would beat it. But yeah, Black Mike, you're number one in our book, but I'll take both Mikes. I'm cool with both of them. So, Eric, man, it's been fun. You got any closing remarks?
Yep, I've got a few closing remarks. First of all, I hope everybody is safe, you know, in light of the whole COVID-19 situation. So we definitely want to thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully we provided you with a little bit of comedy relief. Listening to some of James' picks on start one, bench one, cut one. Yeah, that's definitely some comedy relief for certain. But seriously though, we definitely want to thank everybody, you know, for tuning in. We hope everybody remains safe. And hey, go to our page. If there's any sort of topics that you want us to talk about or any comments that we've made that you agree or disagree with, we welcome everybody's opinion on that. So
hell no, I'm blocking you if you disagree. I'm just kidding.
I'll unblock you.
All right, yeah, it's been fun, y'all. This has been our first podcast that we went Facebook Live on. I think there's going to be more to come. This was a nice format. I am only wearing clothes from the waist up, just in case you were wondering.
That's too much information.
My bad. But thanks everyone for tuning in. Once again, have fun. I'm just happy to have a haircut.
Yeah, you can see I'm rocking some natural stuff up under here, so that's why I kind of went with the, yeah.
I hear you. All right, y'all. Y'all be safe out there. Like Eric said, it's been fun. Definitely go to Facebook. You're already on Facebook if you're watching us live. Like our page, share our page, help get us out there. If you have any sort of critique on us, positive or constructive, please don't hesitate to let us know. We love what we do. You know, we do this in our spare time, and Eric and I have many conversations and talk about different things. Like you said, if you want us to talk about something specific, let us know. We're all ears. But thanks for tuning in to Ear Hustling Podcast. We are out.
All right. Thank you. Happy belated Mother's Day for all of you
Same
folks
to you.
I didn't get a chance to. Happy belated Mother's Day to all of the people that I know that I have a chance to talk to yesterday. Being a mother is a full-time job, especially to us grown kids. So again, thank you very much. And I am closing my mouth, James. Take us out.
Peace, y'all.